Imagine this. You're planning that dream trip. You pop open a chat window and type something simple like, "I want to book a flight." And instantly, this super friendly, hyper-competent agent replies. It guides you step by step. Everything feels, well, it feels almost perfect. But
what if that agent you're talking to isn't a person at all? What if the whole conversation, from that first simple request all the way to a fully booked trip, was handled entirely by an AI? And not just an AI that can answer your questions, but one that actually does things. This isn't some far-off sci-fi concept. This is the world of generative AI agents. And today, we're going to peel back the curtain and see exactly how they pull it off.
And this is our map for today's journey. Now, on the surface, it looks like a simple chart, right? But underneath, there's this really complex dance of planning, making decisions, and taking action. We're going to use this map to walk through the entire process, piece by piece. So let's get started. Okay, first things first, what are we really talking about here? Because this isn't your classic AI. You know, the older models were what we call discriminative. They were fantastic at telling things apart. Think of an AI that can look at a picture and tell you if it's a cat or a dog. The AI we're diving into today, it's fundamentally different. It's generative.
So a generative model doesn't just see a dog in a photo and label it. No, it learns the very essence of what makes a dog. All the patterns, the textures, the shapes. It learns dogness so well that it can then create a brand new, totally realistic picture of a dog that has never ever existed. It's the difference between an AI that can recognize a song versus one that can actually compose a whole symphony. That creative leap, that's what this is all about.
So how on earth does an AI learn to create something new? Well, it all comes down to the models working behind the scenes. You can think of them as the brains of the operation. And honestly, it helps to think of them as having their own distinct personalities, each with a pretty unique talent. Let's meet the three main players behind all this magic.
First up, we've got the VAE. This is our skilled artist. Now, this model has a really cool talent for compression. It can look at a super complex painting, learn what makes it special, its essence, and then shrink it down to a simple sketch. That's called encoding. Then it can take that simple sketch and recreate the full painting. That's decoding. But here's the brilliant part. It doesn't just make a boring copy. It gets the style so well that it can create totally new, original paintings that look like they came from that same artist.
Next, we have the GAN, and this one is just a fascinating duel. I want you to imagine a super high-stakes game between two players. You've got a master counterfeiter whose job is to create flawless fakes, and a brilliant detective who's trying to spot them. They are locked in this endless competition where each one just forces the other to get smarter and better.
So here's how that game actually plays out. On one side, you've got the generator. That's our counterfeiter. Its only job is to create fake data that is so realistic, so convincing, it can fool the detective. And on the other side, that's the discriminator, our detective. Its only job is to tell the real stuff from the fake stuff. Now, as the detective gets better and better at spotting even the tiniest flaws, the counterfeiter is forced to create even more perfect fakes. It's this constant battle that results in a generator that can create stuff so realistic, it's pretty much indistinguishable from the real thing. And finally, we have the transformer model. Think of this one as the expert storyteller. This is the architecture that totally revolutionized how AI understands language. See, transformers are absolute masters of sequence and context. They don't just see individual words, they understand the web of relationships between all the words. This is the magic that powers models like GPT, which can predict the next word in a sentence so accurately it can write entire paragraphs that feel remarkably human. So we have our artist, we have our dueling detectives, and we have our storyteller. Three really powerful models. But how did these, abstract ideas come together to actually book a flight? It's time to connect these models to the mission.
Let's go back to our map. A user kicks things off with a simple, kind of vague request. I want to book a flight. Okay, now let's trace what's happening behind the curtain as our AI agent gets to work.
Okay, so first, the agent's storyteller brain, which is powered by a transformer model, understands the goal. And it immediately realizes, hey, I'm missing some key info here. So its first move is to ask some clarifying questions. Once it has the city and dates, it does something absolutely crucial. It reaches out into the real world. It calls an external tool, an API, to get live flight data. This is the moment it goes from just chatting to actually doing. It then presents the options, waits for you to confirm, and then calls more tools to finalize the booking and send over a payment link. It's this perfect chain of understanding, planning, and finally, action.
It's a seriously impressive workflow when everything goes according to plan. But as this quote points out, the real test of intelligence isn't just when things go right, it's when they go wrong. What happens if that flight API is down? How does the system recover? And this question of reliability, of risk, it becomes way more critical when we realize this tech isn't just for booking flights anymore.
And that brings us to the bigger picture. This power, the power to build autonomous agents that can act in the world, it's not just about convenience. It's transforming entire industries. But with all that promise comes some pretty significant peril.
I mean, these applications are just exploding. For software developers, you've got tools like GitHub Copilot literally writing code for them. For artists and designers, services like Midjourney are creating these jaw-dropping images just from a simple text prompt. And in the business world, whole autonomous workflows are being built out. This technology is already everywhere. But this incredible power, it definitely has some serious strings attached.
And I mean a literal cost. To train one of these big foundational models like GPT-3, it's estimated to cost somewhere between $4 and $5 million. And that's just for the computing power alone. That kind of price tag makes building these things from scratch a game that's really only for a handful of giant tech companies and very well-funded labs.
And then, beyond the sticker shock, you have these massive ethical and social challenges. The same tech that can create helpful art can also be used to create harmful deepfakes and spread misinformation. It throws all of our ideas about intellectual property and copyright into total chaos. It raises huge questions about our data privacy. And yes, it's already starting to impact people's jobs. Every single one of these issues is a monumental challenge for us to figure out how do we innovate but do it responsibly.
So let's look at our map one last time, now that we've seen all the pieces. It all started with just a simple question. And from there, the AI agent understood the goal, it planned out the steps, it used external tools to take action in the world, and it completed the mission. That entire loop, from understanding to planning to action, that's the very definition of an AI agent.
So we've seen how this powerful AI can help us, but it forces us to ask a much darker question. What happens when this very same intelligence is used for deception? What happens when these agents aren't built to help us, but to manipulate, to fake, and to deceive on a massive scale? That's a story for next time. Hari Hari.